Welcome back to another episode of our last 30. Where have you guys been?
Where have you been?
Where have we been?
No, where have we been?
That's it. Listen. Thank you all for your patience, man. We had to take a little break. We had to take some time to regroup, to repackage some stuff and update some systems and really just get excited again about rest. I mean, rest is, oh my goodness.
It's relative.
It's a relative term for sure. And the concept, of course, is for us to just get a little break. And summer in higher ed, is a good time to take that opportunity to spend time with family and friends, regroup. Mm-hmm. I hope that you have taken that same opportunity. Today we wanted to wrap up part 3 of our forgiveness series, specifically that self-forgiveness piece. It's so important for us as we move forward, as we heal in the process, to give forgiveness. And as we've said in the first 2, forgiveness, well, it's already a tough concept. Mm-hmm. Self-forgiveness, it's got to feel almost impossible. So thank you all for supporting us over this last almost year and a half now.
Yeah.
Cesar, we're going in. In that year and a half, we've had, some challenges, tremendous successes. We are very close to reaching 10,000 subscribers. So thank you all for that continuous support. And in our next program, we're going to talk about team updates, and what that looks like for us, right? But let's wrap up this 3-part series. Let's talk about forgiveness. Let's talk about what that looks like in our world. It's worth noting, and it's important to say that it is an individual process. Mm-hmm. So depending on where you're at in your life, your age, your unique experiences and challenges, that forgiveness piece could add a little bit more variables and barriers and hindrances to forgiving. So we recognize that. We humbly recognize that it's not as easy as some might make it sound. And we hope that we don't make it sound easy. Yeah. We recognize it's a tough process, man.
Yeah, and it's something that we got to practice on a day-to-day basis. It's not something that you just do once and it's going to happen overnight. Yeah. It's a daily practice that we're going to continue to develop, to continue to listen to ourselves, to continue to forgive ourselves specifically with this topic that we're talking about and closing out the series. It's just something that has to become a habit, something that we need to integrate into our day-to-day lives in order to heal and move forward with anything that it is that we're dealing with.
For sure. And that's what today is. Today is how to let go for good. For good. To let it go. Not an easy one. Thank you for being being on this path with us as we work ourselves to let go. And so not an easy one. And then it's just worth noting, we've received so many people reaching out, particularly women, talking about what that means for them and with their partners, and this series specifically what it's meant for their relationship. Mm-hmm. So shout out to all those partners listening today and people learning from this, because that's our goal. Our goal was to have, again, we talk about it all the time, right? A couple people listening in, using this resource as we move forward and learn ourselves. So let's talk about, with anything, right? The price of everything is going up. The last few years, the cost of every product, whether you're trying to get a new car, whether you're trying to rent somewhere, whether you're trying to just buy, I go to a lot of thrift stores and garage sales, and what you used to be able to buy for 50 cents and $1.
It's a couple bucks.
It's a couple bucks, that's for sure. And so, that's kind of a visual representation of the cost. But what we're talking about today is the cost of not letting go and what that means, man. Can you kind of talk a little bit about that what it feels like to not let go?
Honestly, I think it has different parts of it. It has that emotional aspect of it, but it also has a physical aspect to it. Talking about the emotional part of it, I think it's just it shows in resentment and withdrawals from the family, with the people that you love, just different bursts of emotion that come to you and it can happen anywhere at any time. Anything can trigger that. Too. So it's just how we cope through it and how we go through it that needs to change and to be able to forgive. But I think honestly, speaking in personal experiences too.
I thought you were speaking in tongues. No, you're speaking about personal experiences.
You gotta remember.
That's a religious reference.
You gotta remember that my first language is Spanish. My brain thinks in Spanish, so I'm trying to translate and talk at the same time.
I get it.
So I get tongue twisted. But speaking in personal experiences, this has shown in several ways just being distant from everybody else. Like just trying to be on my own, which sometimes it's healthy. Sometimes, depending on what you're doing with that time, it's not healthy. But I think it also changes who you are as a person. If you leave that that situation
for sure
consume you and not forgive the person or whatever it is that happened to you, and it just changes the person that you ultimately want to be and the person that you were prior to that experience.
And that's the difficult thing with being, if you will, a man. For those of us who self-identify as men, we're old school, Vatos, and
you're old school.
I'm old school. You new school, something like that. The point is this: it's convenient for men to kind of approach this forgiveness piece very similar, based on so many different things, but almost always the same. It's easy for us to be numb, to detach ourselves from that
100%.
Conversation, from the feelings, right? And to not only detach from the conversation, but then overwork. That's a great way of not having to face your issues, to not any issue in particular, but particularly forgiveness. We're celebrated for our work. Right? People are like, oh my God, Cesar, he worked so hard. He's here, Saturday, and that was the first part of my life, overworking. And then you realize that overworking, unless it's your private company, didn't benefit you a whole lot. So shout out if you to those who have their own company and put in that work, man. It's not easy. But for the rest of us, the majority of individuals, we're working for someone else. We're working for an institution or a company, a firm. And the more work you do, certainly there's tremendous benefits, but it's also a great way of escaping, avoiding. You know what I mean? And
your mind focuses on different things. Your focus on what you got to do now. If you put yourself and overwork yourself, it's just like trying to keep your mind active, trying to stay active, trying to stay busy so those thoughts don't come and creep on you. So I think that's honestly how we do it. To be able to deal with it.
It's convenient, man, and we know it, and so that's a big part of avoidance and not having to address the issue. But that cost can have a physical toll, emotional, spiritual, mental health, which we talk about often. Can you kind of share a little bit on what that toll has looked like for you and not forgiving someone or not forgiving yourself? What does that do to you, man? It's specifically Cesar.
Honestly, I think the biggest part of it was poor sleep and just that constant fogginess that it just crept up on me. I was still and basically just going through the motions. I was present. I was going to work. I was doing what I needed to. But if we go back and I started looking back at that point in time where I was trying to deal with everything that I was dealing with, specifically not forgiving myself and everything that I had done and whatever situations have been, that's how it's been. It's been me not being able to sleep. It's me not feeling like I'm present with the family, not being present at work. I can't remember things that I did during that time frame. I know it was there because I have pictures. I know I have memories or whatever on the phone. But if you ask me what happened or how do you feel, I have no idea because I was completely detached of myself because of all that fatigue, that lack of sleep. And it also took a physical toll on myself. I mean, I started to gain more weight. I stopped going into the gym. Stopped taking care of myself. And it was difficult to get out of that mindset and that just everything that I was dealing with. But yeah, I think honestly that's just been the biggest part.
It's hard, man, because that detachment feels very familiar for so many of us, right? The moving away from taking care of yourself, but at the moment it's not what it is. It's just like, no, I just need to rest. I need to I actually needed that day off, and then that day off turns into maybe a couple days and oversleeping. And again, how you use your time matters. If you're using your time to rest, okay, but then over rest, and then next thing you know, it could start creeping into your head, as you indicated, right? Our last guest that we interviewed, Jerry Phelan, talked about that too. He talked about the difficulty of just embracing the concept of self-forgiveness. And for many men, that's a reality. How do you forgive yourself? And then, to be fair, what are the benefits of self-forgiveness, man? Like how do you, so let's say I were to buy into this concept. All right, I'm going to forgive myself. But what's the benefit? And that's what we're talking about here, is that emotional piece, that physical piece, what it does to your body. It's a physical manifestation. And I would imagine spiritually as well.
Yeah.
And how it affects you. And so when they talk about your wellness wheel and being off, if you're not 100%, then you're off. You're kind of, the wheel's lopsided kind of thing. Well, that's what self-forgiveness does. It allows for that healing to begin, and that's kind of what we're talking about, man.
Yeah, and I mean, it's not easy. Again, like we mentioned earlier, you got to be intentional. It's a practice that we have to do each and every day. But I think it allows us to be more present with our family, with our loved ones. It allows us to be more intentional on how we go and approach relationships or friendships or our work stuff, because we're more present. We're more in tune with what's going on. We don't feel like we're just going through the motions at that point. So I think it's very important to be able to do that, because honestly, ultimately, that will change your life. If you hit that switch, things could change dramatically.
Yeah.
Again, you'll be in a better physical state, mental state, spiritual state, once you start letting go of things that don't really benefit you in the end.
Yeah.
I was listening to a TikTok actually on the way here from El Chavo del Ocho, obviously in Spanish.
Yeah.
Resumed. He's like, we all carry stuff with us, right? You remember stuff, but we got to remember the good stuff. You don't keep trash. You throw away the trash.
That's right.
It's the same way with our head. You don't keep the negative stuff, because once you remember it, it's going to hurt again. But if you keep the good stuff, once you remember it, you're going to feel good again. So throw away the bad stuff. Keep the good stuff.
Absolutely.
So
very simple approach to understanding. Like I like that, man. I like simplifying things. I like humanizing concepts. And so, what's the benefit of keeping trash, right? So if it's going to burden you, and those thoughts are in fact trash, they will burden you. It's going to negatively affect your self-image, your relationship with yourself, and of course your relationship with others.
Yeah, absolutely. And once we do that, once we get rid of all those negative thoughts or those negative feelings or whatever, relationships are better. Whether it be with your family, whether it be an intimate relationship, whether it be with your friends, you're able to talk more and have that compassion towards others as well, because you've been through it now.
That's right.
So you're able to help others. And I think that's what we've been doing with the podcast and the work that we continue to do with the Higher Ed Homies. We've grown, we've healed, but as we healed, we try to uplift others and bring 100%. Them along with us.
Absolutely.
Which, I mean, I think at the end of the day, that's what is needed out there. I think that's exactly what we need specifically for us men, to be able to repackage who we are as men, how we portray ourselves to society, which is very important, because people have a feeling or thinking of how we are as men or who we are as men. We don't talk about feelings. We don't talk about this. We don't forgive. We don't do the X and Y. It's not all of us. But if we start changing and shifting that narrative, that overview of how we are being seen will also change. We'll also continue to help others change because they're not going to put themselves in this little bubble.
And you know what? I really like that, because you have to understand, if you're listening in today, our weekly podcast, right? Every Wednesday we post. If you're listening today, seeking guidance and advice on how to communicate with your partner, with your male partner, I got to tell you, if you're not creating, co-facilitating 50-50 as much as possible, a space, Cesar, where you can communicate honestly, dude. Like, that's the thing. What I mean is, like, not honestly, but I mean, like, being able to authentically and honestly communicate.
Being intentional
with creating a space, dude. Check it out. For those of you who are listening, like, bro, I talk to my partner all the time. It's nothing. Well, you know what I'm hearing from you is you have an atmosphere has been created for you to communicate.
Well, it depends on what they're talking about, because you can say,
well, you're right.
Especially if we're talking about men, you're like, oh, I communicate with my partner all the time. But yeah, what is it that you're talking about? Are you really talking about how you feel? Are you really talking about what's going on? Or are you just talking about the day to day? Hey, we got to pay these bills. Hey, we got to do this. Hey, we got to take the kids to work. Hey, we got to do all X, Y, and Z. But are you really getting
down to
who we are as a person? And I think that's where men, if they don't feel secure, and again, that space is not co-facilitated and co-created, and it's intentional and talking about those feelings, it's where it gets mixed. We know women. They're able to talk about their feelings. They're able to talk about what's going on.
Yeah. So effective in communicating. And we're traditionally, if you will,
of course,
a little apprehensive about sharing. There's reasons for that, right? There's cultural norms. There's familial expectations. Traditionally we are expected to be protectors and providers, and changing that narrative or enhancing that narrative to encourage two parties of in this relationship to communicate. Isn't that true about everything we do? Like, if you're in business with someone and you just give them a free pass, like, oh, it's okay, he or she doesn't show up and doesn't talk, and it's totally cool, I'll do all the work. Well, eventually you're going to burn yourself out. Eventually you're going to be like, yeah, this isn't working, right? Well, it's the same thing in a relationship. So it's important that two people are communicating. If you're in a relationship, traditional relationship, meaning like two individuals, and that could be a business venture, or it could be like someone that you love and care about. You have to be communicating. Well, in order to communicate, you have to, of course, you have that skill set, but you have to have that space that's been created, and that comes from two people. And what can destroy that? Well, an opportunity to speak up. He or she shares things, and then you use it later on against them. Now, what purpose did that serve?
None.
Like, I can't imagine. Maybe we need a human resources type implementation in relationships, right? Like the concept, of course, not a real HR professional. That would be
maybe.
Some of your relationships, man, I know I've been there. But the concept of human resources, meaning, well, let's talk through this. Let's be respectful, in our engagement. Let's seek a resolution. I think that's an important part of relationships. If you're doing it alone, or people act like they're doing it alone, because as human beings, we can justify anything. We can justify just about anything. And in fact, I would argue that if you have enough friends, they can justify their actions. They can justify the actions of others. And so you could be like, no, it's okay that my spouse gives me zero communication. We're cool like that.
That's who he is. That's what I'm married. That's, all of that.
I don't know that I haven't met the person yet. How about that? I haven't met the person yet that's exactly what they're looking for. I have met people who, when things are cool and you can communicate, say, I'm seeking someone that would at least tell me how they feel, tell me what they want, tell me what I can do better, tell me what I'm not doing right, tell me whatever. Even if it's just like the example you gave of just what went on in your day. What was that like? Some people don't communicate that.
No.
And there's reasons. Like I can imagine, like if you're under an environment where it's super stressful, as is the case, right? In our industry, we're going through a lot.
Mm-hmm.
People are, losing jobs and transitioning, and there's tremendous opportunity and difficulty and barriers depending on your perspectives.
Mm-hmm.
And that's true about everything you're going to do for the rest of your life, by the way. It's your perspective.
Mm-hmm.
So if you want to self-forgive, do it. If you don't want to, then you're going to find a way, an excuse on not forgiving.
Absolutely. And I think talking about that relationships, when you are able to forgive yourself and talk about things that are going through and be able, again, that HR concept of resolving the issues, relationships feel safer. You're able to be more your authentic self whenever it comes to it. And I think that's just what makes these relationships prosper.
Yeah.
And continue to go on. If not, things are going to build up. One thing on top of another, on top of another, on top of another, until maybe it might be next week, it might be in a year, it might be in 10, it might be in 30 years, when things are going to blow up. And finally, like, if we could have done this 10 years ago, we could have talked about X, Y, and Z. We could have been good at this point in time. So,
and you might be too far gone.
Exactly.
By the time it comes up, it's like there's no
going back. Yeah, exactly. So it makes you feel safer, and it also, even if that relationship ends, let's say, it makes you not project those old wounds into the next relationship.
Yeah.
It allows you to come in to a new relationship with a clean slate, where you know that, okay, I did my best. I talked through what I needed to do. I said what I needed to say. I can come in clean with a clean slate of this next relationship and do the same thing.
That's right.
And maybe that's the person you were supposed to be, the job you were supposed to be, the partner that you were supposed to be with, whatever the case may be.
Right. So that's what we're talking about, right? Walking away, leaving it all behind, man. Leaving it all behind. So let's talk about some tools we can do.
Yeah.
To move forward, to self-forgive, because you could talk all day long, but give me something to put my hands on, man. Give me a resource that I can use. And for me, right off the top, it is giving yourself that advice, right? Yeah. You actually do have a crystal ball type perspective in that. Imagine if you're 20 years old. I'm in my 50s, so imagine if I'm in my 20s and I had the ability to look into my 50s, 30 years, and like, hey, dude, I'm going to give myself advice so that when I'm 50, I'm doing this kind of thing. Academic advice, spiritual advice, dude, savings and work and all the things, relationships. Well, that's the concept we're talking about. And envision yourself, for me, going back 30 years as a 20-year-old and saying, all right, now give advice to that guy that you're not going to believe this. That dude that almost dropped out of high school, he earned his doctorate. That guy that said he would never do this, and this, did it all. The good and the bad. Mm-hmm. Give advice to that guy right now, man. So if you keep that journal, have that prompt, Cesar, right? It's like, what advice do I have? And you hear it often, right? You hear speakers talk about that. Well, the reason why people go back to that prompt is because it's so effective. If you can envision being a 20-year-old giving the 50, I'll give an example. I'm 52 today. Yeah, dude, that hurts. But actually, you know what the beautiful thing about being 52? It's right up here.
What, you're losing your mind?
Well, I'm losing my mind, but here's the thing. Here's the beautiful thing. Let me block out the negativity. Let me rebuke you, Satan, in the form of a 7-foot Texas Ranger hat wearing guy. Let me rebuke you.
Stupid.
I heard that growing up. People would say that. But listen, on the real, it's what you keep up here, man. Mm-hmm. If you think, it's like the song I heard the other day. It's a beautiful song. It's a country song. It says, "Don't let the old man in." And in one of the lines of the song, one of the verses, it says, "How old would you be if you didn't know your date of birth, something along those lines, right? Like, and for those of you who listen to that song, you're like, that's not exactly what it said. You're gonna look it up. But I know the first part of it is, how old would you be if you didn't know when you were born? And the concept behind that is, everyone tells me I'm 52, so I tell you I'm 52. But if you don't, but so what is the actual lines to it?
Toby Keith. It's Toby Keith. I want to talk about me. That's the song.
No, it says, don't let the old man in.
I said the name of the song is I Want to Talk About Me. I'm trying to find the lyrics for it, but that's basically what it says.
You're not going to find it because that's not the name of the song.
It's
between you. Listen, hold up. Between you and I, that's not the name of the song. That's not what I was talking about. Watch.
That's what it says on here. I'm just Googling it. I don't know.
Google it.
I don't know.
Like my dad said, Google it. Google it, Fred. Google it. I said, all right, Dad. I'll Google it.
What is it right there? That's the phrase.
Just give me the... Dude,
I don't know.
Just give me
You said that wasn't the song,
okay,
so
how about this,
searching it.
How about this?
You're pissing me off.
The point is this. It's all up here, man. It's like when I went to a native Indian reservation last year, and I was talking to this woman, and I kind of kidded about myself, and I said, yeah, I'm getting older and this and that, and she says, no, you're getting wiser. Well, yeah, but I'm also getting, and she stopped me again. She put her hand on my hand, and she said, I need you to understand the concept of getting old and getting wise. Stop referring to yourself as getting old and refer to yourself as getting wise, and share the information you have as a whatever old you are, whatever age you are, with the young people.
Mm-hmm.
And that's actually what we've been doing, dude. That's exactly what this is about. The whole concept of the higher ed homies and our last 30 is this information that we have that we're just trying to share with you.
Yeah.
We're not experts, but we're also not experts. You know what I mean? Like,
mm-hmm.
The point is that we have information. And the wise people that came before us also had information. They shared it with us. We're merely bridges to that information that we're trying to share with you. And that's what today is, man. Mm-hmm. We want you to find forgiveness so that you can begin the healing process, so that you may heal others. And there's power in healing.
Absolutely.
There's power in healing. And I if you look at my LinkedIn profile, it says higher ed curandero. Well, where I'm from, curanderismo, healing, faith healing, is a big part of our community. And I kind of have fun with the term of a higher ed healer. And the concept behind that is having tough discussions, conversations about what's going well
mm-hmm.
in our health and our business, and what needs to be addressed.
Yep.
And today, forgiveness needs to be addressed. And I think it goes beyond us. It goes into our community and our communities and the places that we call home. And so that's the importance of that self-forgiveness.
Well, yeah, and going back to some of the tools, definitely that journaling is big. I mean, we talked about it in the last episode that I wrote a letter to myself, forgiving myself for everything. Still haven't gotten the courage enough to post it up anywhere on social media or on the podcast, but still.
You guys can relate, man. I mean, making yourself vulnerable and then sharing that, not easy.
I can't even go back and read it. That's how deep I went into it. But yeah, so journaling is huge. Just visualizing who you want to be, or who would you like to be if you let go of some of that stuff. I think that's also powerful, because at the end of the day, you're going to look back and I could have been this happy if I would have just let go of that a little bit sooner, or I could have done X, Y, and Z if I would have forgiven myself for whatever I did whenever I was younger, or whatever. It's just growth. It comes with growth. That, I think, one of the other big things that's going around, affirmation.
Yeah.
That daily affirmation. You do that. You tell yourself you're tall every single morning when you wake up. So things like that. So
it's relative.
Exactly. No, that's exactly right. It's relative. Mm-hmm. So doing that.
It's an opportunity for identity reinvention.
Yeah, for sure.
So that's what we talk about. It's like, listen, that affirmation is the first dosage of positivity you're giving your body, right? And so it goes along. It's powerful, man. There's people who have real difficulty, and in different parts times in my life, I had difficulty with that concept of affirmation, right? It's like, nah, dude, and because it's easy to dump on yourself, dude. It's easy to be like, nah, we talk about often, right? Imposter syndrome. I'm not smart enough to do this. I'm not good enough to do all this stuff. I'm gonna be honest with you, man. Right now, Cesar and I are in the we talked a couple months back about what the next steps look like in this effort. And one of the things that came up, one of the pieces of that whole conversation was our current employers, and what does that look like, and can we take bold steps to transition from that comfort level? That's what it is. Comfort level, dude. And in many relationships, let's talk about relationship with self. Why would you leave that comfort level? If I'm happy with having not forgiven you, not forgiven myself, why would I get out of that? Why would I write a letter to myself like this dude did and then have so much difficulty with the letter? I can't read a letter I wrote. That's the pain that we struggle with and the reality of all this, dude. That's the reality. That's what we carry. That's what we carry. And so you want to reinvent yourself. You want to repackage, if you will. It starts with that healing piece, dude. Our conversation led to Cesar being challenged to explore new career opportunities. But here's the thing. How can I always challenge people if I'm not taking that challenge myself? And we're in a different period in our lives, man, where what you're seeking and what I'm seeking may be change, but change looks differently to different people, right? So does forgiveness. So does forgiving yourself. When I forgive myself, what I need to forgive myself for may be different. In fact, it is going to be different from what you need to forgive yourself for. Absolutely. What you need to forgive yourself for. So the pieces look differently. And that's all we're trying to tell you today. Find that goal. It's right here, right? It's self-forgiveness. But all the pieces from here to there, it's going to look all kind of crazy. Man.
It's different for everybody.
Be aware of
It's a unique experience for everybody. And it goes to your spiritual beliefs. It goes to how your mental health is. It goes to what your life has been. Some of us have had lives easier than others. Some of us haven't made.
Also perspective.
Yeah, no, of course.
You might look at someone like, dude, they've had it easy, and they're telling someone like, I've had a tough time.
Okay, but if you're talking about self-forgiveness in your own individual life, like you know when you've had an easy life, or if you haven't made mistakes, or you haven't done whatever. Yeah. So you just got to understand what it is that I need to forgive myself for. What it is going to continue to push me forward, get me out of that little boundary, that comfort zone, to continue to grow. And ultimately, it's doing that self-reflection, having somebody to talk through it. If you're with a partner or whatever, just being able to talk through it and letting it out.
We'll talk about that, the importance of mental health therapy and how beneficial that is as well, man. Hopefully, you're in a position where you can explore that. At the end of the day, guys, you know what we're talking about? If I could summarize in one word, for me, it's peace. It's seeking peace. And how do you seek peace? Well, there's different ways. We talk about as an old army soldier, as a warrior, seeking peace comes after maybe a lot of battles. And I think about the men and women who have served in the battles that they have endured. Physical battles, spiritual and mental battles as well. And so for peace, what does peace require? Boundaries. In order for you to move forward and to heal and to seek that peace, you got to reestablish those boundaries.
Yes, absolutely.
And that's hard for people, right? Because sometimes those new boundaries are in fact physical. You have to leave. I think about Dr. Taylor that we interviewed a while back on our episode, and he talked about that.
Yeah.
He had to leave his physical location to start anew. And how many times do we hear that in our families and our friends? Like, all of the temptations that I had, all of the triggers, all of the opportunities, good and bad, were at this place. I had to leave it.
Yeah. Or a relationship.
Or relationships, dude. Right? If that person is, if you haven't got past that person yet and you're going to run into them again, can you imagine working at the same place as your former partner, your former boyfriend or girlfriend? Same small town? Small towns are
you'll see them everywhere. At Walmart.
Bro, I just went to my small town a couple of weeks back. There are 2 stores there. I'm not kidding you. There's 2 stores. There are no stoplights.
Yeah.
You're going to run into someone there. Real stuff. And so keep that in mind, man.
Yeah.
As we wrap this up, man, at the end of the day, this is for you. This is for you to move forward. And you're going to see the tremendous benefits of self-forgiveness and self-healing.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we've seen it. Thankfully, we've been able to heal and forgive ourselves. And it's a continuing cycle. I mean, like I said, it's not something that happens overnight or that we do once. We work on it every single day. We try to be better. We try to just be at peace with ourselves and whatever kind of decisions that we're making. Because, I mean, at the end of the day, that's what it is. That's what growing means. Having peace with the decisions that you're making and going from there. So if you're taking anything out of this conversation, this whole series is forgive yourself. Understand who you want to be past that hurt, that feeling. Let go of things that don't serve you any purpose. Throw away that trash. Keep the good stuff, throw away that trash. Don't be what do they call them? What's that show?
Hoarder.
Yeah, there you go. Don't be a hoarder.
My wife can't say that word.
I can't either. That's why I'm like, that's why I was like, pause.
But don't be one of those either.
Yeah, that one tampoco. That one's well, I mean, if you want to, that's fine. We're not judging. But yeah, create those boundaries, create new habits that allow you to be better for yourself. One example, talking about personal experiences. I wake up at 3:30 in the morning now. I don't have to issue sleeping anymore. I can go to bed at 9:30 in the morning now. Or 9:30 in the morning, 9:30 at night, 10. That's when I'm usually in bed. Before that, 2, 3:30 in the morning, I was going to bed.
And you know who thanks you, man? Your body and your
exactly.
mind. Your body and your mind.
Your mind, man. I'm clear. I'm able to be more present with the family. I'm being able to be more present with my nieces and nephew. I'm being able to be more present at work. I'm taking new opportunities with the different things that are coming up. It's going to be like that. The organizations that I'm continuing to be a part of, the groups that we're doing, the change that we're creating with the podcast.
You wouldn't have been able to do all this. You wouldn't have been able to have all the success if your body and your mind was not resting.
No.
Yeah, like when you're trying to multitask, the concept of multitasking, I mean, kind of, sort of, I get it. But you can't listen to me and be on your phone.
Yeah.
Because I mean, I want your attention. Right? I can't. If my boss trying to talk to me, I'm like, oh yeah, really?
Text over here.
Nah, man, it's disrespectful, and you're going to miss the points. And if you're missing the points, you're not going to be an effective worker.
Yep.
If you're not a good worker, you're not going to be a good leader, and you're not going to be effective in your community and empowering others. It's that powerful, man.
Yeah.
And so, resting is a big part of it.
Yes. Yeah,
resting your mind. Cesar, you've been intentional about healing. It's that important.
Mm-hmm.
It has to be one of your goals.
Yeah, it really has to, because again, you have to work at it every single day.
Every day. You have to seek healing and forgiveness and peace every day.
And you're not going to see results every day. You're not going to see something tangible, something that you can touch and feel. It's like, oh, shoot, okay, I did this. I feel better because of it. No.
A report card.
Yeah.
Wouldn't that be nice, right? But that's not.
It takes a while. It's like going to the gym. You might see results the first week.
You're going to feel them, right? You're going to feel what's the negative side of working out. Soreness and strain and stuff. But you're not going to feel like you have those results yet. And then when you run into someone else, it's like we talked to a colleague the other day when we were at an event in Houston.
Oh, yeah.
And remember, she said, you know, I left this job after many years. They knew her associated with that job.
Yeah.
She left it, and when people ran into her again, they were like, "Oh my God, there's this glow about you that I hadn't seen." And she talked about. She said the first couple of times she didn't know how to respond to that. Like, are you insulting me? Like, maybe was I upset before? Not that you were upset, but you didn't smile like this.
Mm-hmm.
And I think we can all relate, man. I think we can all talk about getting lost in that moment, whether it's a job or a relationship, an opportunity that we didn't move away from, and it ended up being something not negative, but certainly not positive, dude.
Yeah.
And you didn't see it till later, right? And that's the unique piece here in that forgiveness. You're not going to be able, perhaps, to envision that glow, but we're trying to tell you that it will come.
Mm-hmm.
And it comes as part of that piece of the love and the forgiveness.
Yeah, absolutely. And one of the things that I've been working with my therapist recently, and I think I talked about it in the other episode, I always felt like I was behind in my life where I wanted to be at, almost 30. Fuck, I'm old.
You got less than a year and you're 30.
Yeah.
Mark this
I'm getting
day.
white hairs already, too. So I've been talking to the therapist that
I don't have white hair, but they sure are falling
hair.
out. They sure are falling out.
That I'm not behind. Everything that you've accomplished, everything that you've done so far,
That's right,
doesn't mean that you're behind. You're just at a different step. You don't compare yourselves to other people in your life. You got to live your own life. You got to be able to be your own individual self and continue to grow that way. And that's also finding peace and forgiving yourself for not being where you want to be at. Did I want to be at this spot professionally at this age? No, absolutely not. I wish I could have been 3-4 steps, making 7, 6, 7 figures. It didn't happen. It hasn't happened yet. It might not happen in education.
Well, you're right.
Might never happen in education. But just because I'm not there doesn't mean that I'm behind anything. It's just how I'm supposed to live my life. That's who I'm supposed to be.
Absolutely.
And just forgiving myself for that. So it's one of the things that I've been working with my therapist that you guys could also work on. And one of the big things that has been helping me is not planning out and mapping out what that 5-10 year plan is or what has been. Obviously, there's things in here and there, but whenever I was working on it, whenever I was 18, 19, I'm like, okay, by 25, I'm going to have 3 kids and be married with a big-ass house with a nice car. I don't know. Nowhere near close any of that. So for me now, it's like, okay, where do I want to be mentally?
Yeah.
I don't want to be depressed. I don't want to have anxiety. I don't want to be this. I want to be present with the family. I want to be present with my nieces and nephew. I want to be in a job that I feel like I'm wanting to go to work.
Yeah.
I wake up early in the morning. I drive to work happily rather than like, oh, shoot, I got to be at the office today or this or that. Like, for me, that's how my mentality has shifted with the therapist. So, like, I'm planning that part out, but not specifically with results or, like, other stuff that might, again, bring that anxiety, that, oh, man, that disappointment on yourself that you're not doing the right things. Because at the end of the day, you're just restarting that cycle if it goes back to it. So,
you know, and something I wanted to say about that is, you know, as someone who's lived I lived what I would say is a very humble and privileged life, and for me, I'm thankful, I'm blessed for the life I've been able to live. If you're younger, there's a tremendous amount of pressure to look a certain way by a certain age. And I'm not saying that when I was younger, there was not people who were like, we expect you, and for those of us our age, to expect. But the pressure now, dude, because of those computers on our phones. Social media is a mug, dude. Like, it pressures people to be millionaires by 21, to live in this house in this part of town, these 4 cars and this whatever life, and for that 0.0001%, it is true.
Yeah.
But for the rest of us, it's a grind. It's a beautiful opportunity to work hard and establish those credentials to earn that.
To earn it,
And let me tell you something, man. I'm designing a new tattoo for me to have, and it's gonna be based on the concept of earning mine, because that's a big pride point for me, having earned whatever I have. Now you could sit there and you could laugh all you want, well, you ain't got shit. What are you proud of? I'm proud of what I do have.
Yep.
This is my shit, though. This is mine, man. This is my. I'm proud of the young men and women that I get to call my children. I have 4 kids. Dude, I'm so proud of them. I'm proud of who I have been as a husband, as a brother, as a son. I'm proud of that stuff, dude.
Yeah.
And if I were in my 20s and expected to do a certain thing, maybe I wouldn't have that pride. Maybe, I don't know. But hopefully I would have surrounded myself with someone that humbles me and says, work harder. Work harder, dude. And yes, also there's some work smarter. I'm not saying that's not a beautiful thing. But man, you got to work hard. No. And sometimes that work hard is the internal piece of working hard. Working on yourself, dude, is working hard, Absolutely. Cesar. That's hard, man. And again, I just wanted to make the point that I know it's tough for young people and those expectations. Yeah. You know, I'm proud of you, dude, for navigating through some tough times. If you're listening in and you've had some tough times, I met a young man a couple of weeks back, and he started telling me a little bit about his past, and it just breaks your heart. And I'm sitting there, I said, just stop. So I hold his hand. Dude, you know how lucky you are. You know, maybe he had never heard that before. I said, you know how lucky you are to be in a position to share your, if you will, your testimony? Mm-hmm. You're alive, brother. Yep. You're alive, man. So go take that, run with it, empower somebody else who is having a tough day, who is in the middle of thinking it doesn't get any worse than this. I'm here to tell you, it could get worse. And we're lucky, Cesar. We're lucky that we have our health. You know, just this past week, if I could, this is my last statement, Deion Sanders, who I've been following since I was in high school. And I always been, man, I just love this guy so much. And I love his grind, right? I just love his work ethic. And does it mean I love everything about him? Certainly not. He's not a god. He's a man. Yeah. But I have followed his career, and I have just celebrated his success as a student athlete, pro athlete, and now as a coach and as a father. Mm-hmm. And this past week, he received some real serious, last couple weeks, some real serious news. And he was real open about that, dude. And do me a favor, find that video and look into that man's eyes. And you're going to know why he paused, why he said he's so thankful. And I believe it's because of his children. I think it's the humility of, I'm not worthy of all this, and yet here I am, with the resources to be able to catch the cancer soon enough, to where he is, as the doctor said, cured of cancer. And you know what he could have said? Yeah, but I'm pissing on myself, dude. This is terrible. I'm embarrassed. You know what he did instead? He said, I'm pissing on myself. And there's other men in my situation. There's men and women in my situation. He uplifted people, man. And that's what we're asking you to do. We're asking you to find that healing and uplift somebody else.
That's what it's all about.
Thank you all so much, man. This wraps it up for us, our 3-part series. Thank you all for being on this journey with us, for reaching out to us, for seeking healing, for finding the opportunity to heal, for finding those opportunities to seek peace and to love. We hope that if you're listening today that you have found and are seeking peace, are in the journey, in the path to find peace, healing, and love, as we are. And every day we get better, and every day we, as you say, Cesar, find challenges. It's an everyday process, as is life. But But if you get to fight another day, bless you for that, man. Thank you so much for listening. We'll see you next week.
Thank you, guys.
See you, brother.